Kol Halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Yahushai Racha Chodash. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. General Motors, the big dog, GM, is training first responders on electric car crashes. Why is that? Because of gradualism. All right, we are noticing how the world is becoming less rudimentary and more digital. All right, so that goes with the vehicles as well. More firefighters and EMTs. So just your regular people. Now it's going to look regular. So you'll be driving down the street or walking or whatever. You'll see these electric cars crash, and it won't really be much of a spectacle as it would before. Now and then you'll just see, EMTs, firefighters. So now there will be probably a more influx of firefighters and EMTs to deal with these situations. You know what I mean? Because Esau Edom has to be able to manage this digital society that they're pushing. But we know that it's not them pushing it, it's just them being used to fulfill biblical prophecy. At the end of the day, it's being controlled by Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Racha Chodash. All right, so going back to this, more firefighters and EMTs will soon be able to, hold on, let's look at what that translates. Emergency medical technician will soon be able to pry you out of your burning Prius and maybe even save the car. Now, they're using a Prius as an example, which is a vehicle that needs to be manually driven. But we know that they're implying self-driving cars as well. General Motors announced Thursday it was expanding its training program on rescues involving electrical vehicle crashes. All right, they're gonna so-called educate the public. So they're doing stealth advertising to make it seem like they're this innovative company. The Volt, which is one of their vehicles, electric vehicles. Emergency responders navigating the increasing popularity of electric vehicles is a growing need, even though fires in electric vehicles could be, they use that word could be, less common than in gas-powered cars. Auto insurance, of course, the insurance companies crunched the numbers and found that fires in electric vehicles caused by crashes are rare. Okay, so there you go. They're trying to make it seem like electric vehicles are the way, right? Because people are scared. So they go with the electric car. Your fear of your car blowing up is going to be less. All right, so that's the main point. Like, you can see I'm getting bombarded by ads and shit. So let's get the script. So this is Job chapter 5, verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty. Ultimately, he is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise, as heavy as a mug. So we got to get into it. So when we go into the word, so going back to Job 5 and 12, so the he is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And we know that when Yahweh Shai comes back and makes his triumphant return, he's going to put an end to Esau, Edom's rulership, but under the blueprint of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. So let's look up the word devices.
Strong's H 4284. Machashava. Machashava. Second entry. Machasheveth. Machasheveth.
Oh, my bad, my man. So you're still talking, but anyway, so it goes a thought, device, plan, purpose, invention. Yeah, these words gets deeps. Wow. So because it's like the thought. So Yahweh Shemashai disappointed the thought of the crafty. Let's look up the word crafty.
Strong's H, 6175. Arum. Arum.
Arum.
Second entry. Arom. Arom.
Arum. Okay, my man, with the double definitions. All right, so subtle. And who's subtle? Who's that red serpent Esau? Shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, crafty, shrewd, sensible, prudent. He has become wiser than Daniel. And we know Daniel was a very wise man. But Esau, Edom's wisdom is on the left-hand side. So going back to Job 5 and 12, so he disappointed the devices. So we read the thoughts, the plans of the crafty, the sly. So that cannot, he disappointed the devices of the crafty so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Let's look up the word enterprise.
Strong's H, 8454. Tushia. Tushia.
Tushia. So the wisdom, sound knowledge, success, sound or efficient wisdom, abiding success, sound or efficient. So there's success. So piecing it all together, Job 5 and 12, he disappointed. So Yahweh Shemashai disappointed the devices, the thoughts of the crafty Esau, Edom, so that their hands cannot perform their success, their enterprise, what they want. They want everyone to be Chip. Aaron Russo published this straight from a Rothschild or Rockefeller, whatever, one of the banking family's mouth, man. Wow, that's amazing. So let's get Psalm 49 and 11. This is Malak Dawadad. Their inward thought. Okay, their inward thought. And notice how in Job 5 and 12, there was in italics to make it there. So Psalm 49:11, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. So that's part of their enterprise, that their house shall continue forever, that their dwelling places to all generations, so that they'll continue to rule and expand in the stars. Like they show you this in Star Trek and fucking Mass Effect, the video game, or Star Wars, where like, yeah, their reach has reached planets and galaxies, but you have planets that are just slum planets. It's literally just Esau's rule, but just magnified. That's what they would envision. So continuing on, they call their lands after their own names. When Esau, Edom creates a company, they name it immediately after themselves. When they take over some shit, they name it after themselves. Like if you go to one of their law offices, isn't Truthful Fighters and Co. or Defenders of the Truth. You know what I mean? It's always shit like Winkelstein and Brothers, or you know, some bullshit. Just look at America, named after Americo Vespucci. Africa, some dude named Africanus. Asia, like, you know, the list goes on. They have streets named after them, days named after them, holidays, so-called holidays named, like, the list goes on. If not who? You know, it's Esau, Edom, which is the biblical name of the so-called white man. So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. This is Apostle Paul speaking. Lest Satan, and Satan, yeah, you can use it as adversary, but I learned this from Elder Apostle Arablab. Salaki if I mispronounced your name. I know it means Lionheart in the English, but yeah, it says, he says it means accuser. They're the false accuser. Like, it makes perfect sense. And what are they falsely accusing? Their spiritual thing is, you see how much Israel's going off? Israel meaning you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, Haitians, and Israelite foreigners, those that may look like the heathen nations but have the seed of an Israelite, the spirit that goes back to the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Esau, Edom is accusing us, saying, you see, they're doing all this wickedness. They don't deserve to be your people. We do. Not realizing that they're the ones that poison the air, set us up for failure. You know what I mean? Like they will stab you and then take the knife out and be like, oh, who stabbed you? We'll get them together. But first, let me fix you up. But sign this contract first before I fix you up. You know what I mean? Like that's why they have to be burnt up and go. There's no use for them after they've accomplished what they needed to accomplish. You know, first being the sword, being used as a sword by Yahweh Shemar Shai, and then being used as slavery, and then being burnt up. So this is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Once again, Apostle Paul speaking, lest Satan, the false accuser, Esau, Edom, if you would, should get an advantage of us. You know, let's look up the slave definition of advantage. Upper hand or benefit. All right, but let's look it up in the blue letter. So 2 Corinthians 2, because I like the, like, you know what I mean? Goddamn. So 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get, there's, okay. Oh, here it is. So it says here.
Strong's G 4122. Pleonekteo. Pleonekteo.
Pleonekteo. To have more or greater part or share. The blessings, anyone, even though they have no blessing. Well, their blessing was the sword, but they don't have a spiritual blessing, which is the true blessing. And we have the birthright too. So to be superior, excel, surpass, have advantage over, to gain or take advantage of another, to overreach. So lest Satan, Esau, Edom should get an advantage of us. We just read that. You know, to be superior, excel, or whatever. For we are not ignorant. Okay, let's look up the word. If I have the entry for ignorant. For we are not. Oh, here it is.
Strong's G50. Agnaeo. Agnaeo.
Agnaeo, to be ignorant, not to know, not to understand, unknown, to err. Okay, so, yeah, because we have the spirit of Yahushua Ruach HaKodesh resting upon us, Lord wills with hopeful elect, so we can understand and decipher the prophecies and teach them to others. So we know what they're, because like, to loop it all together, let's dunk this, devices.
Strong's G 3540. Naima.
Naima, a mental perception, thought, an evil purpose, that which thinks, the mind, thoughts, or purposes. So it loops back together with Job 5:12. So reading 2 Corinthians 2:11, Apostle Paul, lest Satan should get an advantage, like a benefit of us, for we are not ignorant. We know what's going on. We have the scriptures. We're inspired. So we know that, so it's not like we're ignorant of his devices, of his thoughts, that their thoughts are, that they're going to rule forever, that they're going to take over the world, that they're going to usurp the birthright, which we know is impossible. So with that, I hope you're edified. Shalom.